Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Google Apps Part 2. There is a Google Apps Part 1. I hope you catch that as well. If you look at Google when you go to search and you log in with your Gmail address, whereas normally you would just click here, if you look over here in the upper right-hand corner, you will see a little square made of squares, and that is where your Google Apps live. Just click on that. And the Google Drive is what I'll tell you about first. Google Drive, which looks like a triangle, multicolored triangle, is essentially a way to open, save, and store information from a variety of sources and in a variety of formats. It's free online storage from Google, but since nothing in life is ever really free, Google gives the user the first 15 gigs free, and 15 gigabytes is quite a bit of storage. So unless there's a whole bunch of videos on your Google Drive, or you never weed out any of the documents stored there, running out of space shouldn't be an issue. For example, I have 1.8 gigs of 15 gigs left, and I've had Google Drive for years and stored all my pictures on it, several videos, a whole bunch of documents from various computer classes over the years, and examples of things from Google, as you can see on my screen. And I still only used 1.8. So, like I said, videos are what eats up space. So if you avoid that and you weed out your documents once in a while, should have plenty of storage for eons. Files in Google Drive are automatically saved to the drive every time you close them. So files and photos are saved to Google, so they're saved online. So even if the device they were created on is destroyed, the files in Google Drive are still safe. And anything created on Google Drive can be printed or sent to somebody digitally, typically by email, although you can send it in other ways. Even though these creations can be printed, some of them, especially those with color and design, are really meant to be sent digitally, just to retain all their formatting. You can also create something outside of the Google Drive and save it in Google Drive, and it will still be here. It doesn't have to be created in Google Drive. Once you move it over here, it's here forever unless you delete it. So some of the things, some of the apps I want to talk about today are Google Docs, first of all. Google Docs, if you notice, is blue and white. Kind of looks like Microsoft Word. And that is because several of the applications in the Microsoft Office suite have a counterpart in Google Drive. Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Slides, I'll go through all that in a minute, but Google Docs is really comparable to Microsoft Word. It has a lot of the same tools and options and fonts. We'll zoom just a tick. If you go into a blank Google Doc, you'll see up here at the top, it has several of the same items that the Microsoft Word top menu has: File, Edit, Insert, Format. There's a Tools menu. You have a little box for font style and font size. You can resize the document, print from here, spell check, insert photos, add attachments. Basically, most of the same things you have in a Word document, although the Word document menu is more extensive. And you can also save a Word document in Google Drive, as I mentioned a little while ago. They can be created from scratch, copied and pasted into a new Google Doc, or when an attachment is opened in Gmail, there is an automatic option to open it in Google Drive. And this comes in handy if, say you come to the library and you've created a document on a Mac and you can't save it, you didn't bring a jump drive and you can't get it to translate to a PC, and you don't have any way to take it away with you, you can't print it. If you just save it in your Google Drive, it's there and it will translate anywhere. All you need is the internet. Documents can also be downloaded in Google Docs and saved as a PDF, and those will open anywhere. So examples of documents that can be created, let me go back up here one more time into the blank docs. Examples of documents that can be created in Google Docs or saved into Google Docs from Word: letters, resumes, reports, and basically other Office documents, just like Word. And I will just demo really quick. I've got a document saved in Word down here somewhere. This is just something that one of my kids created for a science experiment, and we created it in Word. I am going to copy and paste it into Google Docs. So you just highlight, copy, back to the docs. You can also access your docs from this little My Drive. Open a blank Google Doc and paste. So there's your Microsoft Word document, just copied and pasted into a Google Doc, and I will just exit out. I don't need to worry about saving it or saving it in a certain way, and it's here forever and ever. There's one example. I've done this probably 10 times, so there's one there, and I'm sure there's one down in here somewhere. So anyway, Google Docs, it's like Microsoft Word, and you can create in Word, move it over here to Google Docs, and it'll just stay. I did mention that you could download Google Doc and save it as a PDF. So let me just open one. Kind of our syllabus for this class. This was created in Word and moved over to Google Docs. And then I can file, download. Whoa, no. I wanted to zoom, but not that much. Let's go back to normal here. I'll zoom in just a little. There we go. Anyway, Microsoft Word document saved in Google Drive, and I can download it as a Word document, so I can go back and forth between those two, or a PDF, in which case you can open it anywhere. I'll close it, and again, it's just going to sit here in my drive forever and ever. Okay, Google Sheets, comparable to Microsoft Excel. And remember, Microsoft Excel is always green and white, and so your Google Sheets also have a little green and white tag. Excel sheets can be saved in Google Drive, just the way that Word documents can be saved in Google Drive. Examples of documents that can be created in Google Sheets. We'll just go over here to the fresh ones. Ta-da, here we go. Budgets, to-do lists, calendars, timesheets, and other table documents. Basically anything that is tabled can be created in Google Sheets because it is a lot like Microsoft Excel. Again, not quite as fancy, but very similar. And again, you can move documents over from Excel into Google Sheets. And we'll do that also. I hit a little Excel document down here at the bottom. So I just want to copy and paste the sucker. And back into Google Sheets, open a blank. And you know, it looks a lot like an Excel sheet. And you just want to paste it. And there it is. I didn't copy the whole thing, I just copied a smidge, just enough to let you know it will safely translate. The font might be different because Google Drive has some different fonts than Word and Excel, or from the Microsoft Office suite, but all the basic ones like Arial and Calibri and all that are still there. So When you do copy and paste into Sheets, it might look a little bigger or smaller, but it's all the same data. So that is Google Sheets. And moving on to Google Slides, this is comparable to PowerPoint. Go back over here to the square of squares, roll down, slides, there we go. So as I said, this is comparable to PowerPoint. PowerPoint presentations can be saved in Google Drive. This has been a lifesaver when you're I've created a PowerPoint one place and have to open it someplace else, and for some reason it won't open. They have a different version of PowerPoint. Nobody had a jump drive for whatever reason. I always save everything in the Office suite, and then I'll save it in Google Slides as well, or in my Google Drive as well. And depending on what document it is, either Google Docs, Google Sheets, or Google Slides. And that way I can always get to it. So this is kind of an example, a Google example of, their version of a PowerPoint. Here's a PowerPoint that was made and sent over to the Google Drive. Here's one, just a test, one that we did a while back for the Lions Club, and I saved it on the Google Drive. So I don't want to open up a PowerPoint and then save it over because I've got two already right here. And as you can see, let me open this. I will just view only. This is one of the Google Drive tests that I did probably for this class at some other point in time. I created this in PowerPoint. I just used 2 slides, but I did have text, I had bullets, and I had a graphic. And then I saved it in Google Slides and opened it, and it looks exactly the same. Same font, same everything. So a good place to just save a PowerPoint or save a presentation, or even you can make a presentation in Google Slides and know that you can always get to it. As long as you have internet, this is a really good option. Also, a lot of kids right now are going to school online, and the platform that most teachers have been using in elementary school and middle school that I've seen is Google Classroom, which is another app in the Google Apps box. And a lot of their projects have been Google Slides. So the kids have their own Gmail address through the school. So they all have their own Google Drive, and everything that they're making automatically goes to the drive and it stays there. So there's no lost assignments, and there's no, not being able to open it on a different computer or Chromebook or iPad that they've gotten from the school. It will translate everywhere. So Google Slides has in particular come in handy just in the last 6 or so months because of kids doing virtual school and teachers using Google Classroom. Let me get out of there, and there's also, move on. I'll do Google Forms last because that's kind of a fun thing. The Google Calendar, another lifesaver. The Google Calendar works with your Gmail to remind you of appointments and events, and it will also invite and remind others as well. So it's just like saying, hey, remind me to do this on Tuesday. You can make an event, create an event in your Google Calendar. You invite someone else so they are alerted that, hey, you have a thing on Thursday, and now somebody else knows besides you, and you're probably going to remember it. To schedule an event or appointment and then send out an invite to somebody else, hopefully a trusted friend that will actually, remember to tell you about this. You just click on the month. I'll just stay in August. Click on the day. We can stay on the 31st. Click on the time. I'm just going to say noon. And then it will open up a little box. You can name your event. Dogs to that, which I don't actually have to do that. And let's see. need to change the time to noon. Automatically defaults to be 1 hour long. Time zone is automatically central, just in case your trusted friend is in another time zone than you. It's not a repeating event. This is where you can add guests and invite someone else. So type their email in here. You can add a location if you want. Google Maps can find where you are. And then you need to tell it how you want to be alerted, how you want to get notifications. It will automatically show you as busy during this time. So you might want to say like a day before, an hour before, and save that. And it's on your calendar, so then when it's time, it'll pop up. It'll just give you a little alert. It will email, or it will alert you on your computer and on your phone, anywhere where you're logged into Google for any reason, you'll get an alert. And so will the person you invited. Then they can remind you. And you can also edit this event. If you're like, oh, no, it's 1 to 2 and not 12 to 1. Just click on it, hit the little pencil to edit, and you can change your time. One to 2, and then save, and you're good. So that is Google Calendar. It takes a little while to kind of get used to doing this, and it's going to look different on your phone, which is actually where most people are going to be using this. It will look a little bit different. All the components are the same though. You choose the month, the day, and then it opens a box and you can choose the time of the event. You can name it, you can choose its location, and you can invite someone, and there's a place for it to alert you, and you set that. So that is Google Calendar. Very, very helpful if you have a lot going on or you're forgetful. I'm going to move into Google Photos. I zoomed a little too much, I think. I make sure everybody sees all the print. Okay. We can go to Google Photos. This stores photos. They're automatically backed up from your phone or your laptop. And I know it's a common thing to have pretty much all your photos stuck on your phone, and you never print them out and you never get them anywhere else except on Facebook or Instagram or something like that. But what you do, people lose phones and they crash and you get locked out, and then it wipes your data, or at least part of your data, everything you haven't backed up. And that is also something difficult to remember to do sometimes. So the great thing about Google Photos, it automatically backs up your photos from your phone or your laptop, wherever you've got them. And if you're using your phone, you can get the Google app, get the main Google app on your phone, and you can get to all your Google apps separately if you're logged in with your Gmail account. Your Gmail is what gets you in to Google. And all these apps will be on your phone. So if you go into Google Photos on your phone and you go into it, you can set it, it'll pop up. You can set it to back up all the photos that are on your phone. And it will move them into Google Photos, and they will stay there forever. So, if your phone gets lost or your data gets wiped, you still have your photos in Google Photos. It does take quite a while to download, unless you make yourself do it about every 3 to 6 months, because people take pictures all the time, and then you got to move them. So if you go into your photos, you see a whole bunch of photos, and you can also find photos by keyword. I'm going to do dogs because everybody loves dog pictures. Tons and tons of dog pictures. It finds photos you've taken yourself, photos you've taken or that you've gotten from Google Images, like this one. I used that for something else, and there is a dog in it, so it brought it up. I saved a picture of this little Peanuts Halloween card, and Snoopy is in it, and it recognizes that, or the word Beagle is on it somewhere. It recognizes that, so it saves it. And you can also find photos by not just keyword of what's in them, but the year they were taken or the place they were taken. Again, you just do that by using this keyword box right up here at the top. And you can pool your photos using Mac, Android, and the internet. You can save any photo in here that you've taken. You can make them into little, there's lots of little tools on here. You can make your photos into a little animation if you want to. Related photos and videos, you can combine into a movie with a soundtrack. If you upload 3 or more photos of a panoramic scene, I know some of the new iPhones have a panoramic shot. You can turn around and take a photo of a sweeping mountain range. But if you have three or more photos of a panoramic scene and you move them into Google Photos, you can stitch them all together to make one photo. Photos can also be filtered and enhanced here. And these little tools will appear once you start choosing. I'm going to pick, my dog Ruby got dressed up one day and some unfortunate incident. It was raining or kids couldn't use their electronic devices anyway. They dressed Ruby up in a costume. She looks excited. If you look over here, when you click on a photo, you get a little tool menu. And the one that looks like a little bar graph, if you click on that, it will open up another little array of Ruby photos, and you can change the tint. You can do a little bit of editing here. Brightness, color. These are just different tints, kind of like on Instagram. If you use that, once you open a photo on Instagram, you get a whole bunch of different filters. You can choose how you want your photo to look. You can edit the size right up here with that little icon. You can stretch it or crop the bottom or the top. So if you think maybe Ruby would look better in black and white, you can change it there. Now she's black and white. So these photos are saved on the internet in Google. And even if something happens to the device itself, like your computer that I'm on right now, or your phone, or wherever you took the pictures, those photos are still in Google Photos and they're still in the Google Drive just because they're on the internet. So you can get to them anywhere you can get online. They'll stay like that forever. All right, bye Ruby. No, I don't want to get rid of you entirely. Actually, I want to show you one more app that I'm going to use the Ruby photo in. Doing this one last because it's really kind of just more for fun. Google Forms. And for this one, let's go back to the drive. Google Forms are the purple ones. I'm not sure what their counterpoint is or counterpart is in Microsoft Office. They might not have one unless it's a photo editor. But if you go to My Drive and down here, Google Forms, Form A template. This is the app that's good for, you know, invitations, sign-up sheets, worksheets, order forms, things like that. Anything you need someone to RSVP to, or you need a response back. You need to know how many people are going to be there. But Google Forms collects and organizes information just like Google Docs and slides and sheets and photos and all the rest. They can be stamped with your own logo or symbol, or one that you choose from Google. You can customize all these forms that it automatically generates. And we can try, we can do event registration. let's see, you would fill this out. Jane Smith. And email FPL. FPL Computer Bootcamp at gmail.com. Oh, I can't type at all. What the heck, people? Library. What days will you attend? No dietary restrictions. I do think I said day 1. None of this. Whatever, so you can email this out blank the first time, actually. Just send the, honest to Pete, send the blank document out. And this is where we want to send it. I got ahead of myself. You want to include the form in Gmail, send it out. And then I've already got the Computer Bootcamp email open. Fill out in Google Forms. Let's go back here. There we go. Fill out in Google Forms. Get rid of that. That was me screwing up my form here. Jane. No, it doesn't have to be a number. Day 1, day 2, none of those. Yes, I do. I don't know why it wants a number, but there you go. So the person you sent the invite out to fills it out and they submit it. I sent it from a different Gmail account. I sent it from my own. So then, when you go back to your Drive, you have a response. So that kind of makes it easy if you are trying to get answers on how many people are coming, and it's easy for them. They don't have to fill anything out by hand and mail it in, and they don't have to do all this stuff. It's just in Google. It's easy for them to open, and the minute they hit send, they don't have to remember an email address or anything. They just hit send and it goes back to you, and it will show one person is coming. Get rid of that. So I screwed up the form a little bit. But anyway, those are some of the more useful apps on Google Apps too, and there's some fun stuff in there as well. There is actually one more fun one. Let's do one more fun one. And it's not here. Let's go back here. I want to go in Google Drawings. Again, strictly fun. Google Drawings is just something you can move a photo or some other document in here and you can doctor it. You can add speech balloons or mustache or devil horns or angel wings or whatever you want to do. You need to place a photo in here. So you just go up here to a little box that looks like a mountain range. Go to photos. And then I'm going to, again, hit the little magnifying glass, dogs. There's Ruby again. Click on that one and hit insert down here at the bottom. And she appears in the Google Drawing box. If I want to give her a speech balloon, which I do, move right over here to this little icon. It just looks like a circle and a square, and it's the Google Shapes. Click on that, and if you go down to call outs, those are the little speech balloons. Right down here, and just click into the photo, and you can resize. I need to move it up here a little closer to her head. And you can type in the box, I look ridiculous. So if you have any photos that you want to doctor just to make somebody laugh, Google Drawings is a little fun app you can use. Again, this is strictly for fun. Get rid of that, and we're back to the drive. So good luck, and I hope you can use this information. And don't forget also to check out our Google Apps Part 1 class.